Good evening, friends. I'm Agnelorajesh here, and the other person, the beautiful person on the screen that you see, is my very dear friend Lina Ashar. Friends, we are here today for a very important purpose. It is something that you'll enjoy. You'll walk the journey with us. Friends, MoonShot Conversations is an initiative of Korobori. What is Korobori? Well, this will unfold during our conversations, from doing more to being more, from consuming more to creating more, from scarcity to abundance, from competition to collaboration, from dysfunction to function, from the individual to the collective, from surviving to thriving, from finite to infinite. That's what Moonshot Conversations will be all about. Friends, Lina Ashar is a very dear friend, and she is the founder of Kangaroo Kids, which are preschools, and Billabong International High Schools. Lina started her career as a teacher and today is one of the most renowned educators and edupreneurs in India. Her conviction to offer an education that set the child at center began with a preschool in Bandra, which is in Mumbai, in the year 1993, with just 25 students. With a successful formula at hand, she went from one preschool to a network of them, and at the same time, branching out to high schools, which got a fabulous traction across the locations. The journey of developing child centric schools across more than 44 different cities in India and also in Dubai, Maldives, and Qatar has been an outstanding journey supported by parents, education partners, and a fierce team of dedicated, passionate, and determined individuals at the school and at the central team level. Friends, leveraging her extensive experience of working with children and parents for the last 29 years, Lina Ashar has closely observed and done research on the difference in mindsets of what leads some people to aspire, grow, persevere, be happy, and successful. So, friends, welcome to the first foundation show of Moonshot Conversations. We will explore the knowledge of Lina, and we also look forward to your questions, which can be posted during this live session. So, Lina, I watched your TED talk. Why do you say why is the most powerful question, and what are your thoughts about why as a question? How does it help, and what does it define?
So one of the things is, Rajesh, what you said. Why were there so many people who rallied around me? Parents, people who are working with me, because my why was so powerful. And when anyone's why is extremely powerful, everything else just falls into place. I've always asked why. I've asked why ever since I was a little child. And people who ask why have a contrarian way of thinking, and we see things differently. And it's not just about around our purpose. Everything we see, we ask why. You know, when I walk into the courts in India, I still wonder why people wear those black cloaks. It just does not seem to make sense, and nobody seems to understand the answer why. But you know, we've just gone on for too long as humanity, as society, just doing things because they were done before and not questioning why. When I started my career as an English teacher, my big question was why. Why would senior school boys be connected to poetry and Yeats? Then started thinking about, is there a way in which I could do it better for them? So I started teaching English literature through the lyrics of songs that kids love. And I started
Wow.
with, we don't need no education. we don't need no we don't need no thought control. And then kids gravitated to that because they saw a meaning and a reason to actually learn what I was teaching them.
Fantastic. Yeah, please go ahead.
So this why has actually underpinned all the instructional design process that we have implemented in all our schools.
Fabulous, fabulous. Lina, the current pandemic has sparked a human realization that the way we are leading our lives was not effective and not efficient. Two of the critical areas where we'll witness a change will be parenting and education. While we are adapting to the new normal, it has become important to ensure that the next generation of young minds are prepared for unforeseen challenges. And they also need to know how to lead a much more holistic and rewarding life. From what I'm hearing, Lina, you say that why, or that meaning of why, creates intrinsic motivation to do things. Can you explain this concept better?
So in our schools, so far we ask, I'm going to take an example of history. We'll ask kids, what happened? Where did it happen? and when did it happen? We rarely ask them, why did it happen? When you ask the brain why, it sets off your neurocircuitry in a completely different way. I mean, you think about a group of kids and you ask them, when did World War the Nazi Germany war happen? Where did it happen? But then if you ask them, why did it happen? Suddenly their brains are engaged in a much deeper and more meaningful way. You ask them, why did people follow Hitler blindly? They'll suddenly run off and they'll start thinking about human motivation, power, authority structures. They'll come up with much deeper and more meaningful answers. I mean, who cares when it happened and where it happened? Yes, you need a historical timeline, but beyond that, it doesn't really matter. It's the human psychology that kids are really attuned to. When COVID-19 hit, I created integrated curriculum around COVID-19, the history of viruses, the geography of viruses, the maths of viruses, because there's just so much you can do. But here in India, well, almost all around the world, we teach English separately, science separately, math separately, and that's not how learning happens in the real world. So my interest, my big why is, can I ignite human greatness in a more meaningful way for students, in a way that speaks to their brains?
Fabulous, Lina. That is so insightful. Friends, Moonshot Conversations will explore and nurture a collective mindset that leads to a redefined version of success. These conversations will be centered around parents who would like to know more about parenting for happiness, resilience, health, purpose, and success. Friends, while the aim is to empower parents and the information tools with the right information tools and resources to use with their children, this series will also add value to the lives of the parents. In the study of neurobiology, behavioral psychology, and energy science, Lina has applied a lot of what she has learned to her own life and also attributes this to her own success. Lina, you mentioned always, whenever I discuss with you, you always mention the word contrarian. So what does it mean in the context of life for us, for a parent, for a child?
Well, it's basically just to see everything, to ask why whenever you see anything. When I came to India and I wanted to shift the way education was perceived by parents, by educators, I firstly had to set up why. Why do schools have to have 4 white walls? Why do kids have to wear polyester uniforms? All these things that don't make sense. Too many of us, because our education has taught us to comply, and that there's only one correct answer for every question, our education system has set us up not to ask why. It set us up to follow, not lead. And we actually, in today's world, need more leaders. We need more people who question the status quo. And this is exactly what we want to do through these Moonshot conversations. I want parents to come to the understanding that the way that they're pushing their kids in school for the exam results is taking so much away from their kids in terms of their creativity, in terms of their building the correct success habits. And those are the things I would hope with you, Agnelorajesh, that we are able to give these tools and resources to parents.
Fabulous. That is such a great thought. I'm sure it will add a lot of value to the lives of the people, especially parents and children, the young students who are the future of the country and also contributing human beings to the world economy. Friends, Lina believes that the existing conventional structure of education is focused on IQ and assesses students based on their performance at the board levels. This has resulted in creation of an educational framework that revolves around a definitive form of development, leading us to believe that human potential is finite. However, throughout her journey of nearly 3 decades, she has realized that success and happiness have little to do with the IQ and a lot more to do with the mindsets and thought patterns that are developed over a period of time. So, Lina, my question to you is, why don't we have more contrarians in the society?
Because of our education system. If you ask people, A is for, 99 point something percent will say Apple. Why? Because we've taught kids A is for Apple. I remember seeing this really funny but painful TED talk by Sir Ken Robinson, in which he says that a teacher's walking through a kindergarten school and she's watching kids draw, and she asks the kid, "What are you drawing?" And the kid says, "I'm drawing God." And the teacher says, "But nobody knows what God looks like." And the child responds, "If they just wait for a little while, they will." And this is a thing that, we're teaching kids to color inside the lines all the time. We teach kids what a house looks like and where the sun should go. And if you look at every kindergarten or grade 1 or grade 2 class and you say draw a home, most of them are drawing the same home. Now, that's not what education is supposed to be about. Education is supposed to build contrarian styles of thinking. I when I came to India, I used to feel pained by, you walk into a classroom, and we don't think about this. You walk into a classroom as a teacher, every kid gets up and says, "Good morning, teacher," and suddenly you realize, you realize and I realize, when we're focused, the minute we stand up and we do that, we've lost 10 minutes of focus. It takes 10 minutes for a kid to get back into the textbook or whatever he's doing. And so we need to think about all the things we're doing, not just in schools, in businesses, in society, and we need to reimagine them in a way that leads to us all thriving.
Absolutely, Lina, that's a well put point. Shubhangi Tirorkar has asked a very interesting question. Homeschooling is getting more importance in certain section of young parents. What's your take on this, Lina, on this new pattern?
So I've always said, early childhood education is really important, in the sense that the sort of neural networks you build when you're a child, because we have what is called windows of opportunity. So just to give people a really quick idea of what that is, if you've got a lazy eye, when your window of opportunity is open, the doctor will block off the good eye, so that the other eye builds stronger connectivity. But if I do it to you, Agnelorajesh, it's going to take a lot longer. While your brain has still got plasticity, it will take a lot longer, because that window for opportunity for that extreme development to happen has sort of closed down a bit.
Okay.
So sorry, I've forgotten your question. Your question was homeschooling.
Homeschooling.
So, homeschooling is, kids are learning from their environment all the time. We've kind of made them believe, and we've allowed ourselves to believe, that education only takes place within the four walls of a classroom. It doesn't. Kids are learning all the time. I was watching a little video of my nephew that my brother posted, and he's cooking, he's baking something with an older friend. Now, while I was watching that, I suddenly said, how much is this boy learning? He learned measurement. He learned measurement. He learned how to sieve. So he's understanding, so many chemistry laws, so many science classification laws. He's learning measurement laws. He's learning so much through an activity. We sort of believe that, learning and wisdom and knowledge is in a textbook. It's not. It's in our environment everywhere. We've taken it out. If you go back to our gurukuls used to use the whole world around us to learn. It's not happening today. It's confined to the classroom. But let's take it out of the classroom again. Let's get back into the house. What I would like to do is, if we can give parents the tools that they need to help them, if we can give them the tools that they need to help them, build the correct habits of mind, know how they can include learning in the house.
Absolutely.
Too many of our kids know fancy equations, but they don't know how to make their own beds. They know all of they've got no self-help skills, so they've got no independent skills. They're dependent on their mates for everything. What is actually more important? I don't know, Agnelorajesh, but in the TED talk I gave, I said, "Are you smarter than a fifth grader?" And the fact is, anybody who takes the test, "Are you smarter than a fifth grader?" isn't, except for two people who in America are pro standardized testing. So they better be smarter than a fifth grader. Standardized testing gives you nothing. The textbook gives you nothing. The fact is that, what you've learned in fifth grade, and once you finished the examination or the test, it's because it's gone into short-term memory system. Exactly what I said earlier. Your brain has got no reason why to hold on to it. It's got a reason why to mug it. It's got a reason why, because it wants the grades. Because you know why? Mums and dads, kids want your love. Kids want your acceptance. And a lot of kids feel that the way to get your love and acceptance is to get great grades in school. And I'd love if mums and dads we can sort of influence them away from that thinking, because it sets us up for a lot of inner wounded kids who are running around in grown adults.
Friends, believe me, there are a lot of tools that Lina has which will be effective for what she's saying to be done. And these are tools which will assist not only the parents on good parenting, but also for the children to understand what parenting they can expect. So I think it is setting expectations on both sides, which will definitely add value not only to the life of the student, but also to the life of the parent. So Lina, you're absolutely bang on. And friends, we believe that Moonshot Conversations will aim to identify right mindsets and will also help parents to inculcate this in their children. But we also help and hope to help transform thought patterns and habits that are blocking the success and happiness of capable minds. Lina, can you give me an example of habits or attitude we will be discussing and how that will be of value to our audience and parents, and what value do you believe it can bring to their own lives?
So firstly, I'm just going to go back to the question statement that you made, where you said success and happiness, right?
Yes.
Happiness, completely yes. Success, yes, but in the child's understanding and craving of a successful life. We all have different definitions of success.
Absolutely.
So my younger brother in Australia wants a fancy car, and that's great. It's part of his frame of what a successful life is. I don't want that. I want more peace in my life, so I'll just go for a functional car. So I want parents firstly to understand that I would like all parents to actually negotiate, not even negotiate's not the right word, to actually frame the notion of success with their child. Because it's not a negotiation, it's not in your hands at all. Too many children are living the lives that their parents want or their parents aspire for them. You know, I remember once when I was still running the schools, a parent came up to me that my child has got, top grades, has got into a scholarship in medicine, and I'm pushing her to do medicine, but she wants to do architecture. What should I do? And I said, well, it depends what you want. Do you want a happy A grade architect for a daughter? Or do you want a B grade unhappy doctor as your child? So the first thing is we all have our own reasons why. I believe each child is born with their own blueprint, their own reason for existing on this planet, for being born to you. Our job as caregivers, as not as their bosses, but as their caregivers, is to actually unwind what their notions of success are, is to watch for where their talents and their gifts are. If my mom hadn't watched me at the age of 3, teaching other kids, even before I could read, I was reading to kids. And my mom said, my mom, thought I was a little crazy. She thought, why is she playing with, 2-year-olds when she should be playing with 3-year-olds? I wasn't playing with them, I was teaching them. Even before I could read, I was reading stories to them. And so there was some part of me that is my blueprint is that of a teacher. So we need to take each child and understand what their blueprint is. And through this, I'm hoping I'll give you some tools and resources to be able to observe your children. That's our job as parents. Our job as parents is not to push them into a career that we aspire for them, but our job is to observe where their talents are, where their gifts are, and where their powerful question why is. Because the question of why will unravel. And it's not just for kids. I'm just going to talk to people, adults. If you run a business, you run an organization, you know that if your why is really powerful, you will rally people to you. You won't
Absolutely.
have to. You don't have to then rally people to you with a carrot and a stick, with incentives and rewards and fancy pay scales. You rally people to you because their purpose aligns with your purpose. And I think through this pandemic, we're going to come to a refined notion of what success is, a refined notion of what we want for our children. Do we want our children to be running from pillar to post to survive, or do we want our children actually to be in this world, be calm, happy, content, and thrive?
Absolutely, absolutely. So, Lina, there is a frustrated question in the audience by Namrata Thakkar. I'm sure she's a parent. And when will education in India change? So, with that 2 question mark, it sounds like more of a frustration than a question. But I would also like to add to that question by asking you that what are some of the things we should be teaching in our schools? So, if you can answer these 2 questions to everybody's advantage.
So, Namrata, I tried for a very long time. I left my home in Australia and I came to India to change the face of education. I moved the dial a little bit. So there are a lot more experimental schools. There's schools doing a lot of things that are a lot more engaging for kids, but it's not enough. For us to reach scale in India, we need to shift our thinking firstly. The first thing we have resistance towards is technology. Technology used the right way for the right reasons is a really, really powerful tool. So I believe, I actually, because, in the next session, we're going to be talking about optimistic mindsets. And I've got a very optimistic mindset. I'm a Pollyanna. I'm always looking for the good in everything that happens. So if we look at the pandemic today, I'm actually looking at this as an opportunity for us to reframe education, for us to reframe, and we need parents. I'm not sure if you're a parent, Namrata, but me as an educator, my parents used to think my preschool was fantastic, my primary school was fantastic, my middle school was okay, but my high school was terrible. I'll tell you why. Because it's the same parents who are pushing for high grades and high scores. So we get in a quandary. In fact, my Twitter post just says, this is the one area in which we're confused because the customer is you, the parent, but the consumer is the child. Now, I want to serve the consumer, right? I want to do what's right by the consumer, but the consumer and the customer want different things. So this is where we have the conflict of interest in this area. If parents embrace what this time is telling them, if parents embrace the new notions of success, schools will have to follow through. I could not change the board exam. I tried. I met Kapil Sibal. We went and Divya and I actually went and showcased our curriculum and our way of doing things to the ICSE board, to Kapil Sibal. He put us in front of NCRT. But at the end of the day, nothing changed. Even now, just through the pandemic, you can see the shift. Online classes banned, online classes allowed, fees not this, fees that. Nobody has a clear idea because no one's taking the real people, the parents, the teachers, and the kids into consultation as to what should be done for the kids. Because at the end of the day, it's the kids. The kids are what's important.
I'm sure one of the objectives that we need to achieve through this Moonshot conversations is this information going to the right parents who are in the positions of power and authority, and they take note of these suggestions and implement that in the education system of India and the education system of our local state. Ravi Salunki has a question. Many times parents try to train or teach people what they think is right for their kids. Is it a correct way, or what should be the parent's role? I think that is all about parenting. And I know you're very passionate about parenting, Lina. And what is your take on this question?
So it's a very long answer. So we could save it for another Moonshot conversation, because I will be talking about discipline in one of the Moonshots and what is the right way. But the thing is that you should ask a question. This question: are you trying to get the kid to do what you want him to do because it's good for you or good for him?
Absolutely.
Too often we're trying to get kids to comply because it's good for us.
Absolutely.
And it actually has to be good for the child. And also kids need a lot of autonomy, independence, and agency for them to feel powerful and in control of their own lives. Otherwise, you end up with adults who are not in control of their lives.
Many of the times and most of the times, and there are solutions for that also, friends. At the end of the session, we will make sure that we'll share with you a journal which can be a home study at home. It will help you and your child, and it will help you understand the power of the word why, because that's the topic of the session today at Moonshot Conversations. Rohit Rao has a question. Why does Indian education system is archaic all around, barring a few exceptions? I think authoritarian is what he would be wanting to mean. Your take on that, Lina?
Well, because we don't have enough people talking about it, and we don't have enough people, and we have takers. Even if you have a school that's not doing innovative, exciting, challenging, creative things, you've got enough parents going to the school. Till I came to India, whichever school historically sat there just kept on doing the same thing till we shook up the system a bit. Now we need to shake up the system again. I've told them, I've screamed as much as I can. If the board exams take away the 10th and 12th grade exams, or they make those exams open book, open Google exams, automatically everything will shift. Why teachers teach will have to shift. Why children learn will have to shift, because it's no longer about rote learning content.
Fantastic, Lina. So Sampada Patil has commented something that we intend doing. She wants to understand whether we can start schooling to train parents for homeschooling, and for homeschooling, is it possible? So your answer on that.
So we want to start with building the right mindsets for parents. Firstly, schooling to train. I want to take the word train away from your vocabulary. Nobody's here to train anyone. We're here to inspire you to see things
Absolutely.
differently. We're here to
Absolutely.
keep, and there's a reason why I see things differently, not because I was born with all this knowledge, but because I asked so many why questions. I kept going to look for the answers. Why does I've got a niece in Australia, and I used to ask her. She's a 100% student, but in other areas of her life, she struggles. And I said, well, what would it take if you were only to get 90%? She said she'd free up 40% of her time. I said, well, free up 40% of your time and build other skills. Build how to, confidence. Being confident is more important than any technical skill or technical knowledge you have. Having a growth mindset, which is one of the other conversations we'll have, is also more important than how much knowledge I have. Being able to embrace failure or making mistakes is a very, very important mindset. So each moonshot conversation will explore one of these mindsets.
Fantastic. Daneshar Golatkar asked the question that we would love to answer all the time. Don't we need better teacher training programs first before expecting a better education system? That's a very hard question. It's a very right question, and it is apt for the moment.
I'm again going to talk to parents, because parents, you say you want one thing, and I'm hoping it's really true, or whether it's just the parents who are posing the question. But then when you go to speak to your teacher, you're constantly driving the results. Why has my kid not got an A+? Why has my kid not got 100% score? And so then what do teachers do? Teachers go and start teaching to the test, because they don't know who to please. If you leave teachers alone, they will start doing the right things for kids. Today, when I came to India, yes, I would agree that we needed better teachers. Today, we have great teachers. I mean, when I walk in some of my classrooms, some of the things I see my teachers do, some of the things I'm seeing my teachers do online for kids. They're spending more time sitting up, making teaching resources and getting their kids engaged, getting them excited to learn. So we do have some great teachers. It's just parents have to know what you want. Do you want the results and the grades, or do you want happy, thriving kids? Because you can't have both, because they're in contradiction with each other. So you have to make up your mind. And, I just want to re-emphasize that we excite all parents to download the reflective journal at the end of every session. You'll get journal notes for this specific session. This specific session is why, because if I cannot connect with you parents, for you parents to understand why you're going to be investing half an hour of your time, half an hour, your precious Sunday time with Agnelorajesh and me, then you will not turn up. And I want you to turn up.
Absolutely.
And I want you to understand why we're here. We're here because I want to give you these tools and these the information that I have, which again has not come through my head. It's come through my reading. It's come through my research.
Absolutely. That is so well said, Lina. There is a takeaway at every session of Moonshot Conversation. Ravi Salunke has a very pleasant compliment saying that this is going to be a great conversation. This will cause lots of transformation in schooling, parenting, and children's future. Great initiative. Ravi, thank you so much. And that is the intention and that is the objective of these efforts with me and Lina at the same time. Friends, what will people gain out of these conversations is what you have heard throughout the last 28.5 minutes. Lina, can you explain in detail for a few seconds on what the or parents and students expect from the next Sunday session of this particular Moonshot Conversations? What can they expect?
So in the next Moonshot Conversation, we're going to be touching upon a habit of mind that we call an optimistic mindset. As I said, that's being like a little Pollyanna and looking for the glad in everything that you see. And you can actually train your mind to do this. When you train your mind to do this, you will actually attract more positive things towards you. And I'll explain the science of that also. So,
in the next session.
Yes. In the next session. Yes.
So, Lina, I'm also looking forward for it. Friends, I'm extremely thrilled to launch this Sunday to Sunday weekly interactive workshop with my dear friend Lina Ashar, whom I respect and admire as India's renowned educationist who inspires change and thought processes by herself undergoing scientific methods of research and ideation. With this ideations also, And these conversations, we aim to help and support parents, teachers, students, and also corporate executives, HR professionals, and business owners to create and nurture a collective mindset towards growth, success, and happiness. Friends, this collective shift, I believe, is the only manner in which we can tide over all our challenges and realize our true potential. This weekly series of workshops are focused on a new way of parenting that can help young minds to tap into the infinite potential for success and happiness while preparing them for the real unpredictable nature of life. Let's enjoy this journey of life together, friends. You can write to us on lina@moonshotconversations.com. You can post your questions to us in advance and we will answer them. We will email you the journal sheet of this session. So please save them, and these journals will become your reflection manual. See you all on next Sunday at 5 p.m. India time. Have a great life. Be blessed with love and light. Don't forget to like, comment, and share this content on your social media and WhatsApp groups. Let content reach people and empower people. Thanking you. And once again, be blessed with love and light. Thank you so much.
Let's collectively change the way education is perceived in India.
Absolutely. It is all about we together, and let's be together in this journey of Moonshot Conversations. Have a lovely evening. Thank you.